right, welcome everyone to the Confidence in Crisis webinar. It's our every Wednesday happening at 5 o'clock Central. I've got my sidekick here, Mr. Drew Watson, who, looking between he and John, they both need haircuts. One's a little more obvious than the other, Drew.
Oh, thanks.
Drew's got the feathered hair going. Pretty soon he's going to have a mullet, folks. Let's hope we can at least get back to our hairstylist soon. We got an action-packed agenda tonight, a lot of sharing of best practices. One of the things that I'll just open up with is something to be thinking about. I've been talking to advisors, I know John's doing the same thing, is, things have settled down a little bit. I think people are finding a little bit more of a normal rhythm. And now's a good time to look at what your timeline is going to be. Probably, I'm thinking till the fall, at least working virtually. Not just talking about working virtually, but things around the client experience. A lot of people are planning these virtual events. Like we'll talk about what we're going to do next Wednesday, which is going to be really fun. Of course, we did one last week, just doing some fun things, educational things, the marketplace. So I think we're going to be hunkered down for the next couple months. So we've all had a little bit of room to breathe lately. So now's a good time to step back and maybe plan what that is going to look like. So, and I'm going to bring on our first guest. You heard her chatting with John, who's missing her Cardinals. As a fellow Cardinals fan, I feel for you, Paula. So Paula, great to have you. Longtime client of Dynamic Directions, a great gal. Know Tim really well. Get to you see Kyle, their young son. He's about a year older than Stone, and they went through the adoption route. So Paula and I have a lot in common, not just out with work, but things family-wise. And Paula, I know we've got on this. Let me jump to the screen here. I know that you won a Working Mother Top Wealth Advisor last year, but I think you got another award recently. What was that reward or award?
Yeah, I was notified last week that I made the Forbes Top Women Wealth Advisors list. And in the state of Missouri, there were only 8 of those women, and there were none from Ameriprise. All the other ladies were from St. Louis, Chesterfield area, and there was one from Kansas City, and then little old me in Springfield. So I was really thrilled to make that list, seeing that they were from all over the country and all over, from independent advisors to big companies as well. I think there were several from Ameriprise all over the country, but that's just a testament to my team, and all of you know how important our teams are to us, and so that it's important for us to work together. So that's the first time I've made that list, and I was really pleased about that, and our team plans to celebrate sometime when we get back together.
Right, well, we got a few celebrations on hold. We'll add that to the list. Well, I just want to say how proud I am of you. And I expected you to say that about your team because, Paula, you're a very humble person. You're very kind. You take care of your team, and you give them credit where credit's due. But congratulations to you. I think that's a phenomenal award and a great milestone for you.
Congrats.
And then we're going to talk a little bit about this whole coffee and conversation idea that you launched a couple weeks ago that I know advisors, I've been telling them about it on coaching calls. I know that our unit tonight that's with us is very eager to hear about. So let's back up a little bit before we get a coffee and conversation. What were some things you've been doing to stay in touch with clients? What have you been doing?
Yeah, so we started reaching out to clients at the end of February when the market was getting really volatile, and we were having a lot of appointments and a lot of conversations, and we repeatedly reached out the month of March to our top clients. And I remember one of my advisors coming to me and saying, here we are at the end of March, when the market started to bottom out around, I think it was the 23rd. Here we go again, round 2. And so, round 2. And so we started reaching out to them again and really in touch with our clients and just with everyone that we could. And we did lots of emails. We did marketing on demand. We did conference calls. We did social media, almost to the point that we were tired of even getting them ourselves. Because we are all copied on what we get. And we actually did a reevaluation on what's necessary and what's not. And we were all getting inundated with lots of things at that point. So we kept monitoring that, and we kept monitoring our clients to see and looking at the stats on social media and the contacts and what they were actually opening to see what was important to them. And we saw some spikes in there. But then when we started to see that wane, we, changed our methodology again. So we just did what we could to stay in touch with clients and stay in front and use a lot of the company resources and some of our partners to stay in touch with clients as well, especially through the end of March and most in April when it was really getting pretty intense there. So we did a lot of just everything, lots of different things that we could
right.
take advantage of.
Well, and I'm bringing that up for a couple of reasons. One, I want to understand the context in which we're going to talk about the coffee and conversation, because I know that idea was born from the fact that you felt like you were really almost doing too much for clients, maybe overwhelming them at times with a lot of information, which, by the way, there's a great lesson in what Paula did. If you listen to her, they went back and studied what was open. They were asking for feedback on what people thought were relevant and then made adjustments. So good call on your part. But you felt like there was this, what else? I remember we were talking on our coaching call. You're like, okay, we're going to call these people again. What else can we say that hasn't been said? So maybe jump off from there and how that maybe led to the coffee and conversation idea.
That's exactly right. So it's probably about a week and a half ago now. Saturday, I was thinking, okay, we are not done yet. This thing is going to play out for a long time. We're heading into almost 2 weeks, probably 8-10 weeks of this. People have been home for a while. They've heard from us. They've seen our stuff, and they've seen me after the close, and they've just, it's just been a lot of stuff. So I was thinking one Saturday morning, so now what? What can we do, or what can we say that hasn't been said yet? And so I thought, well, what if I just throw it out to the client and let them sort of dictate the conversation? And so I had this idea to do coffee and conversation. And so Monday morning, it was about a week and a half ago, I think it was like April 20th, I threw this out to two of my marketing people, and I said, I'm thinking of doing something like coffee and conversation. Let's just offer 20 minutes Skype or phone if they can't get the Skype to work, but Skype or phone conversations with me, and we can talk about whatever they want to talk about. If they want to talk about business, that's fine. If they don't want to talk about business or the markets anymore, and they just want to tell me what they've been up to, they're sick and tired of seeing their clients or their spouses or their family, and they just want to talk to somebody else, that's fine. And so we put out an email and said, we're offering 20-minute Skype conversations, and we gave them specific dates and times, first come, first serve. And we said, you can talk about business, we can talk about the economy, we can talk about your accounts. We don't have to talk about any of that. We can talk about what your family's been up to, what projects you've been up to, what recipes you've been using since everybody's cooking at home. I don't care. I thought, just tell me what's on your mind and what you all want to talk about. And honestly, I thought, is anyone going to really want to do this? I don't know, but it's worth a shot to see if people want to have a conversation and connect with us in that way, because we were sort of running out of, well, what do you want to talk about that you haven't heard on the news or seen in all of our social media or that we haven't talked about already?
Yeah, you even said on our call that you were a little nervous. You didn't even know if people might show up on this. You kind of felt a little vulnerable. This is a new idea. Let's try it. Geez, these people may not even take this up. But that's not the case, Miss Paula. Tell us what happened.
Right. So Monday morning, I put together just a quick little email. Patty said, that sounds great. What do you want me to say? And so she put it out there. And within, I think, literally 5 minutes, I had 2 people sign up. And I was like, whoa, okay. And so I was trying to work around the appointments I already had set up. And so I'd given her some time. And so this started last week, and I had 6 people sign up in addition to the other appointments I already had. So I was like, wow, this is going to ramp up maybe pretty quick. And then I had already had appointments for this week. And then I had 9 more people sign up this week. Let's see, I did 4 yesterday and 5 today. And then next week so far, I have another 4. So I have about 18 or 19 people so far that have embraced this and taken me up on it. So it's definitely increased my activity and just connection with people, and they love it. They absolutely love it.
So what are they talking about then? What are some things?
So it's pretty random. One of the first people that signed up was a small business owner. She's one of my favorites. She's an optometrist, and she's just trying to make sense of all of the SBA legislation. And she said, I just wanted to talk to you, Paula, as another business owner. She said, it's lonely, and I don't have anyone to really run this by. She said, my husband just thinks I'm a worrier. And I said, of course you're a worrier. You're a business owner.
Business owner, right.
You're a worrier.
Check that box when you become business owner, right?
She said, I just need someone there's just so much to absorb, and, what to do with my employees and how to do all this. So we talked about that and the resources that we have. I have one guy, he's in his late 50s. He was laid off, and his wife is still working. And so he's at home, and he said he just wanted to talk to someone. He said, what do I do next? I've had a whole bunch several that wanted to talk about their accounts specifically. And so I have some follow-up to do. So I really didn't prepare much of anything for them. And they understood that. They knew that. They're like, they get 20 minutes. What are we going to talk about? But they had some I kind of anticipated that. And some I said, let's either set another appointment. And I've done that. I set some follow-up appointments. Or I got back with them already on some specific questions that they had. Some just wanted to let me know what was going on in their lives. One of my doctor clients, we'd had on his financial plan for a long time. Once he got so far situated, he was going to buy a new car for his wife, and he did that last weekend for her birthday. And I said, send me a picture. And he did, and I was so excited. He just wanted to tell me what's going on with them. I had a couple today. They have a condo. They have a house in Springfield, but they have a condo in Florida, and they've been in Florida since February. And so they were telling me what they've been up to and what they've been doing with their time. And then what I'm doing is I'm asking for referrals. I'm saying, well, don't keep us a secret. This is what we do. We've learned through all of this that we can meet people wherever they are. I've met several people for the first time via Skype. And so then I sit down right after the appointment. I put quick notes in CRM, and then I send out a handwritten thank you note. And I put some cards in there, don't keep us a secret, and I send those out. And so that's what my methodology's been for the last couple of weeks.
Sounds like you're getting a lot of positive feedback. The people, ranging from serious topics like, hey, can I be a talk to you business owner to business owner, people lonely, no one at home, spouse working. So it just sounds business stuff. I mean, just a wide array. And I like what you're doing because, Paul, we talked about this. You really didn't do a lot of prep. You're just kind of showing up and going with it, right? You don't know what they want to talk about. And so was that hard for you to just kind of show up and be in the moment? Was that a struggle at all?
No, I know most of the clients pretty well, and so I kind of thought I knew where it was going to go. I also wanted to be sure. I thought, man, if I haven't talked to them by now, I probably missed them. And there were a couple that showed up on my calendar that, I missed them for whatever reason. They're not financial planning clients. They're not major accounts. They certainly deserve to be taken care of, but I just didn't reach out to them, and they reached out to me, and they were totally fine with that. I've had some people that have said, and we all love to hear this, I have some money in savings. Do you think I should invest that now? Like, yeah, I think you should. And what do you think I should put that in? And so let me think on that. Let me get back with you. And I've had a few more that we've increased the amount that they're saving every month because they want to, just take advantage dip in the market, and they know they can. They've been saving a lot of money staying at home and not eating out, not going places, not going on vacation. So we've increased some of their savings too. So I've got, I think I told you, Travis, I think I've got a longer list of money coming in than I've had than I did at the beginning of the year. So people have money sitting in cash, but they're not, interest rates went down. They're not getting anything on, and so they want to look at other options. And today, for the first time, so today I had a gal that she had 2 CDs come due on Monday, and so we're putting some of that in bonds, and we're putting some of that in a structured annuity. I've not done that, but we're putting a little bit in that because she does not want to be directly in the market, and so that was a good opportunity for her to take advantage of that.
So you came in really with no agenda. You knew the clients. It was easy for you to show up. So some things have happened. You've gotten some business out of it, it sounds like, right? Any referrals generated on the spot or anything come yet referrals-wise?
I have. I've gotten a few referrals. A couple of people said, I've given your name to my boss or my son. I did a first time, well, what we older people would call a PMM over Skype. And so they're going to become clients too. That was a first for me. I usually meet people face to face, but this wasn't possible. So we met over Skype, and that worked out fine. And so yes, I'm getting referrals as well because people
right. But you didn't go in with that in mind, right? It was all about let's have the conversation, be there for the clients, but yet the secondary or the unintended benefits that come from this is that you're getting some business and referrals. So
right. Several people say thank you so much for this, thank you for doing this with us or for us, or and I always am really gracious and thank them for spending their time with me, and they have been really great. I've had a couple say let's do this again, and I said well we may have to. I mean, of course, let's do it again. It's pretty easy. And I've had some first-time people that have not really done a lot of virtual or done Skype, and they found out it's really pretty easy, and they were pretty excited about that. So especially my people from Florida today. I said, you don't have to be in Springfield to meet with me. You can meet with me via Skype, and they're discovering that we can do a lot more virtual. And so I just was able to show them that I can meet them wherever they are. And I told them that with referrals. I said, I can meet whoever you send to me wherever they are. They don't have to come into the office.
Right. Perfect. Well, just maybe one more question here, Paula. As our advisors are listening to you and thinking about doing this, now that you've planned and executed upon it, any advice on maybe how you would do it differently going forward that would make it even better?
I don't know. I really didn't. It was just a thought that I had that popped in my head over a weekend. Sometimes that's when you can take a step back and start thinking, okay, what next? I would think, I did one wave, and then I did a second wave, and then I did a third wave for next week, and I don't have all my time filled for next week, and that's fine. And I figure in a couple of months, if this continues on, this COVID, which they're saying may drag on through the summer, I may offer it again, just in a fresher way. But I'm also starting to think, okay, this was a really good exercise. I almost got 20 new appointments out of it, just touching base with people that weren't on my calendar, except for my already set appointments. But I'm also starting to think, so what's next? What are we going to do next? Because we're not out of the woods yet. I think everybody recognizes that.
Right. Yeah. Very good. Well, Paula, thank you so much for sharing your best practice. It means a lot to the D2 community for you to share that with them. And, what I'd say out there is if you have questions, feel free to send them to us. We can help you. Also, we're going to send out a replay so people can go through and kind of listen to this all over again to listen to Paula on how she did it and went about doing it. So thank you, Paula. Tell Tim and Kyle I said hello. Great work.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Have a good evening.
You're welcome. So, John, we'll bring you back on. We're going to talk a little bit about cabin fever packages with Trey Carruthers. John?
I tell you, these things are working great, and it's so much fun for me and Travis and all the D2 coaches to have this to share best practices. And that's, I know, one of the things that all of you value most, to learn from each other. A lot of great advisors put it best that, hey, I copied everything I know, everything I do. And that's exactly the point of tonight. And it's so much fun to have so many stacked up. And I'm really excited about Trey Carruthers' best practice and his practice in general. Trey, gosh, I think we've been working together now maybe 7 months. I had to look back at his reports to confirm what I wrote down. Trey is on fire. He's an executor, not an executioner. He's not delivering death. He's an executor. He's doing everything we're talking about. And he is on a Trevor Shakiba pace. He's up 61% over last year by implementing the things we're talking about. And he did a lot of great things with existing clients. Now he's really on a tear, bringing in things on the front end. So, Trey, I'm really excited to share this best practice here, but welcome and thanks so much for being part of D2.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Trey, let's start out with what you did here with this cabin fever packages. What exactly was your approach and what did you send out?
Sounds good. So, based on one of our phone calls, you had talked about arranging an Uber Eats setup where we were sending it to clients. And so I worked with my administration, or my client service coordinator, Kiara, who her focus is really marketing and branding. She's good at it. I'm really not. And so I kind of handed it over to her, and she did the work, set up the Uber Eats account. And so then we started to break down the who we wanted to send it to. And so we started really first with social media influence. It may not have been the largest clients, but who we knew would post it and do different things. So the first clients we sent it to, she had just kind of gone through a furlough, and so it just aligned with a good time. The second client we sent it to is big on social media, Facebook. And so we chose her, we sent it to her, and she posted it on Facebook, and the rest is history 2 weeks later.
So that, I think, is the great and intentional direction you went with this is who's going to post, who's going to create kind of a roar with this. And those of you that have been getting some kind of response and some kind of posting of it, to me, it's the comments that people put. It's the action that the post creates is the best. I mean, I've looked at a lot of these for a lot of you that I'm friends with on Facebook. And if you're not, be sure you connect with me and Travis and our D2 page. But it's been fun watching the responses. I see a lot of, well, you got that from your advisor. I haven't even heard from my advisor. I see them on there. They're real. They're real. So what was what was kind of the response or the buzz with this one particular person?
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. How it worked. The prospect sent a message and said, "My advisor. I haven't heard from my advisor. That sounds great. Send me a direct message on Facebook." I sent another one back, and this was a Saturday evening, I believe. So we're going back and forth. Saturday evening, said, "I'll call you Monday." Got the information, and come to find out, the client, the prospect, I'm still working. We've talked twice. Prospect is executive with a major company, getting 250 and stock equity every quarter, and so just softening those shores and working through it. But it all came through that Saturday evening, back and forth through Facebook.
Yeah, it's really going to be a whale. I mean, what the client has, me and Trey have been talking through. I mean, it's like a Drew Watson kind of case where there's all kinds of action to be had there. Yeah. And Trey is bringing some serious value to this person, and it's going to be a way in the seven-figure client. Big advice fee, right?
Yeah. We spoke about the advice fee today, $5,000, and she didn't blink at it. She asked a little bit more about the fee structure of adding more accounts, but I just walked through that and talked about trying to set up everything. But we're giving advice on everything you have, and really, when we talked about the stock gifting strategy, the first year savings is probably about $25,000, $30,000. And so I just said, well, you're saving $25,000 or $30,000 just in how we're giving. You're not selling stock, you're gifting stock. And so that provides the value in of itself. and she had some other 401k accounts that we talked about. We only had an hour set aside, and so it ran into her next meeting and my next meeting. So we've scheduled time for Friday to walk through everything. And I told her it's going to be a process, but yeah, definitely a well of a client. We just need to reel her in.
It's going to be just awesome. And one thing I really like, Trey, about your story was your accessibility. That seems to be one of the things that I guess most prospects are experiencing out there. I mean, they're not even hearing from their advisor. They can't get to them. This person messages you, and you're on the phone. You're responding, and you're on the phone so quickly. So, what was your just mindset and just being available for these people, being active on Saturday? What were you thinking as far as that?
This is a great question. I'm not an extrovert by any stretch of the imagination, but in today's environment with communication and social media, people want to be able to connect with you immediately, and they're looking for a response. If they any type of response that they can get, but if they can get it immediately, they'd love to have that. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's all interactive, and so we are definitely transitioning into a new space when it comes to communicating with prospects. To me, is of course, it's better than cold calling, but they can see you, they see you active. They want some of that. They want a piece of that interaction and communication.
That's really awesome. Yeah, Trey's getting a lot of great action with a lot of his activity, things like this, other virtual events that are going on. Tell us a little bit about those, Trey. What other things you're doing virtually that are working and are getting access to new prospects?
Good. I actually just got an email. I haven't been able to respond, but I got an email. We did a webinar with one of our clients, similar to the coffee discussion. Just set up a webinar with an existing high achiever client, have them invite their friends. We were expecting 2 or 3 people, ended up with about 10 to 11 people on the call. And I just did general education. This is what's going on in the market. This is how it usually recovers, dollar cost averaging, real basic things. Got a follow-up email today. Sent out another webinar notice for next Thursday with a specific group of clients, some nurses that we have a good relationship with. And so just trying to make myself accessible. I actually, on Facebook, I do something just for the general public, or not general, but a pretty good group, just education. Just really, I don't give specific advice, but just making myself accessible and just trying to grow the practice, grow the brand, like you talked about, creating myself as an expert.
Excellent stuff. And I think it just goes back, which all the D2 coaches talk about. It's gosh, this activity stirs up stuff. And right now, working virtually, we all need more activity than we have ever had before. We should triple, quadruple our activity, and then some. The more we do, the more access we get, the more stuff like this happens. So it's just a great best practice and a great reminder for all of us to keep pounding, keep the activity going. And like Paula said, hey, we're still in that window where people are at home. I know some areas of Texas are opening up Friday, but I don't think all of a sudden everyone will be flooding everything and going to Cowboys games and jumping on planes and flying around. People are going to be around still. So a lot of these tactics and activities will still work. So keep them going and keep the activity high. I think it's the real best practice there. So Trey, it's awesome, man. Keep it going. Watch out, D2. Trey's coming for everyone.
Yeah, I would say, Trey, great job. Just real quick, I want to emphasize something that you said, though, that often people forget. If you're going to use social media, you have to be ready to respond quickly.
Yeah.
If you want to take advantage of an opportunity. I can't emphasize that enough. And Trey, your story, you being active on a Saturday and starting that, some people might say, I don't want to do that. Well, then don't use social media because you're gonna miss the opportunities if you're not going to be willing to be active on that and respond like that. So kudos to you. That's a great lesson for everyone that's using social media. You got to have quick reaction time. So great job.
Oh, thank you.
Great. So next up, we've got our next guest who's on, Havard Lyons out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Havard's steering a big shift and a very big practice. He's got some advisors on his team. Havard, congratulations on the latest Financial Times 400 award. It's great to have you on. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
So Havard's been instilling a culture of growth within his team and in his practice. And like I said, it's been steering a big ship. Over the years, they've sort of grown through acquisition, and now Havard's really steering it into growth. Havard himself is getting some awesome results, and we're getting the other advisors on board with it. But it's been really neat to see Havard's level of implementation, how he's going after the opportunities. We thought would be a really good best practice to share with everyone. But Howard, I wanted to start with something quick that's come up a couple of times in these, but I really wanted to hammer this home, how well the texting program is working for you, your practice, and clients. So tell us a little bit of how you're leveraging that.
Yeah, we're using it an awful lot because I can't think of a faster way to reach a large number of people than through texting. So we have done it when the markets originally got jittery. We would send out a text to clients saying something along the lines of, hey, I'm just checking in with you. I know markets are a little bit crazy right now. Let me know if you need anything. We have used it when we've done either rebalancing or changes in SPS Advantage portfolios. We have not everyone in my practice is SPS Advisor certified, so we have a lot of SPS Advantage clients, and we'll say, we've made some adjustments. We need to get verbal authorization. Please give us a call. We've done really quick check-ins, just checking in with you, make sure everyone's safe and healthy, thinking about you. What's really great about this, though, is you can reach a lot of people very quickly, and they count it as a personal touch. They're thinking this is a text. They don't know that you necessarily texted the same message to 100 other people that day. And sometimes all I get back is, thanks, everything's fine. But sometimes I know right away when someone needs a little bit of extra attention. They go, oh, I'm so glad to hear from you. Do you have time to talk? And that gives me a cue that I need to go through and follow up with those people. One of the real effective things that we did was we went through our entire list, and anyone that we knew that was contributing to 401ks, TSP, 403bs, that they had systematic investments. We sent out emails that said, checking in with you, want to make sure everything's okay on the job front. And by the way, if you still have a job and you're still contributing to your 401k, we probably ought to discuss changing your investment allocation. Go 100% equities for now. It's not a permanent change, but we want to take advantage while the market's low. We'll change it back later. And, sometimes I just got thanks with 4 exclamation points, and sometimes I got, oh, can you help me figure out what to do? But it was a really quick way to reach an awful lot of people that if we had to make those phone calls, we'd probably still be dialing, and so we were able to get it done in under a week. And it was a real high impact touch for people and very easy to execute.
Yeah, and Havard was featured on Advisor Compass, I want to say end of February, early March, about some of these touches that he was doing when the first word of corona, there was some virus in China, came out in mid-February. Havard was on this texting people, and one of his clients was so impressed, he decided to finally roll over a 7-figure $1 million account that he'd been holding out on. And he just was impressed with how much Havard was on it in the outreach. So it makes a difference. And think about how you receive and respond to information. I tell you, if any of you text me, I'm going to respond pretty quick. If you email me, I'll respond. Might be within 24 hours or a couple of hours. If you call and leave a message, gosh, I'm on the phone all day. I probably, won't pick up or might not get it till later. So your clients are the same way. They'll respond to text. And I've got some that even taken it to prospects and get a lot of, back and forth banter. Really works well. So these next results that Havard's been driving, his practice is up 27%. His individual practice within his group is cranking as a result of these things that he's pushing and driving, and he's really leading from the front and getting some of these going. So let's start with the net flows items that you're driving, Havard. This was one of your areas that you really wanted to drive and get results in. So what's some of the strategies that you started to get some new net flows going into the practice?
One of the big philosophies that I embraced with this was that if I take care of nickels, the dollars will take care of themselves. It's always great to get the $1 million rollover, but you know what? If I can get 40 people to give me 25,000, that's going to add up to some significant numbers too. And at the same time, I'm going to deepen those relationships. And so one of the things that we did was I created a kind of a checklist or a template for all of our financial planning clients. What are things that they can do to take advantage of the current market environment? And it's everything from rebalance the portfolio to doing Roth conversions, tax loss harvesting, maximizing IRA contributions. We've got maybe about a 15-point checklist that we go through. And we did a special, we call it an amended COVID financial analysis. And emailed this kind of these recommendations that said, here are all the things that we looked at for you, and here are the ones that apply to your situation that you need to take advantage of. It's been amazing. I've had people that have, like one of the things that I recommended is either to reduce their withdrawals or perhaps to switch to non-qualified accounts, because then we at least save the withholding on tax. But the number of times I'm picking up, maybe it's only $6,000, someone maximizing their 2020 IRA contribution, but sometimes I'm getting 28 because they haven't made 2019, they haven't made 2020. Sometimes they've got money sitting in the bank, and I say, if you've got money on the sidelines, now's a good time to do it. And I'm getting, $50,000 to $100,000 chunks by doing all of these. But the response has been phenomenal. From one of my advisors got an email from one of his clients. They said, this is the best information I've ever gotten from a financial advisor. And when we can get that kind of feedback, I feel like we're really reaching clients and making a difference. All of those little things, the $50,000 here, the $28,000 on the IRA contribution, in a 2-week period, it added up to about $2 million that we were able to get commitments on. That doesn't even include all the people who cut their withdrawals. Maybe it's only a couple of $100, but if I can get people to drop $500 a month out of their withdrawal, that's affecting my net flow just as much as I got them to, if I got them to add $6,000 to an IRA contribution. So we've been very purposeful about doing that, having all these conversations about ways that we can maximize the position that we're in. It's timely, it's relevant, it's specific to their situation, and I think it's going to make a big difference. We then, because we're doing this with all of our comprehensive planning clients, we have also circled around with clients that aren't doing comprehensive planning, and we've said, this is what we're doing for comprehensive clients. I know we've talked about doing this in the past. I think it's time for us to revisit that. And I've actually picked up about 4 new planning engagements by mentioning that to people. which is great. So all of these things are all accretive. They're all going to benefit us in the long run.
So we'll talk about next how Havard's able to launch this scale really efficiently. I think it's really impressive. But let's just continue on other new business strategies, other new things that you've been pounding on. I mean, these net flow ones have really worked and led to results. But what other, I guess, business opportunities have you been going after and leading the team to go after?
Well, these are all kind of wrapped up in that COVID type thing. So, you know, as we're texting, as we're sending out these emails, as we're making phone calls, reaching out to clients, you know, we've done conference calls that we've set up. You know, we're telling everyone as we're reaching out, you know, we know this is a difficult time. There are a lot of other people out there that need this kind of help. If you know of other people that you feel like we could benefit, please don't keep us a secret. We're busy, but we will make time for people that are important to you. And so we're asking for referrals. In fact, I've got 2 appointments later this week with referrals that we've gotten because of layoffs. So talking to people about, we have material for people that are in job transitions. Even if they don't become a client, we're happy to share with them our checklist on things that they need to think about and ways that they can move forward. And that's opened up a good number of doors for us as well. It's really just been constantly being there for the client. We're doing all of the after the close, and we're even doing before the bell now to make sure that people know that we're there, we're open, we're available. Now, we're not meeting with anyone face-to-face. Louisiana has been hit really hard, you know, so we're doing all of this virtually with people while working at home, but it's all seeming to work really, really well. It's been surprising how well it's worked.
Yeah, this high touch system, you know, Havard really reinvented in last year, really 2019, really transformed the client experience into a lot more touches, a lot more efficient touches like this, and clients having a great response. Havard bought and renovated an awesome new building. We'll get back to it one day and have clients in there one day, but a lot of good things happening. So Havard was one of the first in Ameriprise to do these game days, I guess, you know, late summer, I think it came about, where you kind of stop the practice for the day, you go after one thing and knock it out of the park, and then go back to business the next day. So I remember I think it was on a Friday or maybe a Thursday, but it was a day Havard shut everything down and went after advice. Everyone published a bunch of advice for clients. He achieved 90% advice goals in one day, and kind of set the bar for all the other CAC practices were trying to hit his goal and beat it. But it was great learning that, oh my gosh, when we rally everyone around one cause, he got really big results. So Havard's kind of continued these things, these kind of rally days. So how are you doing that, Havard? Tell us about how you can rally the team on these bursts of action to get a lot of results quickly. How are you getting everyone around one thing and getting results with it?
Well, what we decided to do was, we're always so busy. We're getting client calls, we're getting emails. There's all these distractions that you get busy during the day, and it's really hard to do more than everything on your plate that falls there that day. So I decided that once a month we were going to block off a day where we weren't going to see clients, we weren't going to be doing anything other than something specific. And we've done, when we've done model changes, it's calling clients to get verbal authorization for trades. We've done, foundational advice. We've done market updates, with our top clients. So we just pick a different topic each month, something that I feel like is kind of relevant for what's going on. When the Secure Act came out, it was calling everyone that wasn't going to have to do RMDs, and letting them know, hey, I know we've talked about you having to do RMDs at 72, and guess what? Something changed, and you don't have to do it. And so we just pick a different topic, and I block it off on everyone's schedule. We rally around in the morning when we were in the office. We'd meet in the training room. We would discuss, here's what we're going to talk about. Here's the list of the people that we need to contact, because I'd have someone on the staff pull every advisor's list for them so that they didn't have to guess who am I going to call. And then we would just touch base throughout the day. How have you done? How many have you contacted? What's happened from it? But the whole point was just to have this swarm where for this one day, we're just focused on one thing that's impactful to build our practice in the long run that was probably going to get lost in the shuffle of all the day-to-day stuff that we had to do. And they've been very, very successful.
Just awesome, Havard. I recommend everyone goes back and listens to all these best practices here. And there was a lot there, a lot of gold. So thank you, Havard, for being on. Thank you for sharing. Just awesome stuff. Great results. Let's keep it going. Gosh, Travis and Drew, I love this. This is my favorite. I could do this all day.
Well, hey, Havard, I hear you're a really good chef. And so hopefully next time we can get out, you can get down to Louisiana, you might be able to whoop something up for us. What do you think?
Yeah, I bet you if I can't whip something up, we can pick up takeout because we've got some good restaurants.
Yes, you do.
And
yes, you do.
Thank you for joining us tonight. When I heard they arrested the person that shot up that house in Shreveport for Duck Dynasty, I was concerned I would hear the name Havard.
Oh, okay. no association, right, Havard? Nothing with Duck Dynasty.
No, it was not me.
Day, right? Okay.
I have an alibi.
There we go. Well, Howard, thanks a lot. Great to have you on here. We're going to go to our regular guest here, Mr. Drew Watson. Drew, look at how short your hair is there.
Yes, it was a different time.
It was a different time.
Yes,
different time. Stacy says she has some clippers. Are you not going to let her use the clippers?
No, because I'm scared where it would end. I'm auditioning for the role of Jim Bridger in a new Mountain Man classic.
I see.
Jedediah Smith, and we're going to go how the West was won. So I'm letting it grow out, and it's very, very rare that a lot of times I like to connect a story, and I have a gift of taking something from left field and putting it in the right field. So
I'm not sure that's a gift, folks, but play along.
This is a shout-out to Dave Mazzetti. He's a long-suffering Jets fan, and if you ever remember looking at the old Meadowlands Arena where the Jets played, there was a Hess sign up on one end of the arena, and Hess was an oil company on the East Coast. Dave worked for Hess, and where is this going on the market update? It's oil. So I want to give so when you think of USO and oil prices, think of Hess and the Jets and Dave Mazzetti. So I would, if you've been reading the Before the Bells, I would echo what the Ameriprise team is saying, is we've had a lot of clients contacting advisors that when oil went negative last week, it was a big media blitz. You couldn't pick up your phone or a newspaper or get on the internet without reading about it. Clients automatically wanted to buy oil. Unfortunately, a lot of them bought the USO ETF, which is a ETF of oil futures. It continued to struggle. Today, it took part in an 8-for-1 reverse split, which for your novice advisors, that's not a good thing whenever the price goes from 2 to 16. But it is something that you can make lemonade out of lemons. If clients wanted to buy this, this is a great time to reach out to them and educate them what's going on. Because it definitely looks like it could be a bad situation for clients because it's built on futures contracts. They've had to restructure the entire ETF. And I would say watch that because it may not be out of this world that if that blows up, you could see a little bit of some panic, I think, in the market. The good news is it doesn't invest in any companies at all and shouldn't affect anybody's bottom line other than the fund sponsor. But that's the type of thing that we want to try to protect our clients from in this market. Obviously, the market action this week has been pretty volatile, and so we've been trying to get our clients on our conference calls to think of some kind of upbeat things. Couple things that have worked this week, and we had a big uptake on it last night. If you all have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, this weekend they had a great upbeat piece about the coronavirus.
An upbeat piece about the coronavirus?
Yes, an upbeat piece. And what we're bringing upbeat news. This professor at Stanford, I think his name is John Ioannidis, or Ioannidis, depending on how you pronounce it. But he has done a lot of work on what he thinks the real infection rate is, fatality rate with COVID, especially he and his wife. She's another professor at Stanford. They put a lot of time in on how this affects young people. So if you have clients that have younger kids, I would say probably our age kids or younger, this would be a great piece to offer to send to them as a little bit of a, not a security blanket, but something that's reasonable they're probably not going to get in normal mainstream media. Now, John Randall knows too, I'm a big Netflix man, and I put everybody onto the Tiger King phenomenon.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Drew Exotic.
Drew Exotic.
So the show that I recommend that people watch, it's 15 minutes. Netflix has done a really good piece on Coronavirus Explained. So the narrator is the guy that sounds like almost like Roger Troutwig, but he's done a lot of film. It's an excellent, it's not, there's no political agenda. It's very down the middle. There again, it didn't leave you down in the dumps. It was, hey, we're going to be able to beat this. It shows through the sweep of time all the different viruses that were a lot more lethal that we've basically eliminated just in the last century. Mm-hmm. So it's a very good piece. I mentioned that on the conference call last night as well. We got a lot of good feedback. Some people sent me emails today that they watched it. Very, very, you can have your kids watch it. There was nothing, controversial about it whatsoever.
So we'll send out, Ben, if you want to make a note.
I've got this scanned in.
Yeah, we've got the scanned in. We've got that article, and then we can make mention of the Netflix series.
Yes.
So, and you're still having these conference calls, Drew. Tell me, you were kind of first at this, and you've been one of the few practices, I think, of doing it twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. What's the attendance like still going into, week 7 or 8 we're in this?
Yeah, this is our 7th or 8th week. We're still getting around 50 people per call. We've got some kind of hardcore people that are there. Every call. We've got, prospects that kind of tune in, then they'll reach out. It's a very, very, very non-threatening way to get people acquainted with your practice. So, I think as Paula was saying, Trey and Havard, you want to get people in the door. This is a way where they can kind of secret shop you.
Right.
And they don't have, it's not uncomfortable in any way. And if they like your message, if it resonates with them, you'll be hearing from them. And it's a great way to kind of keep your message out. One thing that we're doing, you and I discussed this morning, is I am trying to devote probably one segment, once a week, one of the things to financial planning topics and drill that down to say, hey, okay, tonight we're going to talk about stuff that's going to affect retirees more than accumulators. But, and it's about 4 minutes long. It's hitting the high points, a lot of the stuff that Havard's doing with, the COVID kits. But essentially, we want to get that mix of, here's the news, here's the facts, here's why you do a financial plan. If you don't have a comprehensive plan, here's the benefits of it. But try to mix that in once a week on the calls so they get some information.
That's what I'm glad you brought that up, because I was earlier I opened the call. Going forward, I feel like we're going to be working in this virtual world for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what Paula said, gosh, we've said so many things already. What can we say differently? And so I like the idea of now you're starting to, bring in additional topics, highlighting for 3 or 4 minutes. And I think that's a good practice for everybody, even as you look at, things have kind of settled down. You may want to think about having now a guest speaker out, not just maybe something money related. I've heard people have guest speakers on how to teach from home, best practices there, mindfulness, relaxation, experts on the COVID, bringing in someone to talk about and explain things. So I think as you move forward, whether it's the conference call format or using these WebExes or you're doing some group outings, begin to think about what can you do to kind of shake up the educational part so that you do have something different to say, but make sure it's relevant too. It can't just be different for the sake of different. You got to think about your audience and you want to be relevant.
One thing I thought of, and this would be, I think everybody on the call has business owners. One thing that's being forgotten about is your business insurance. So I think I'll probably invite Todd to a call. He's our independent agent, does our business insurance, because business owners, I think they've been running and doing it's PPP and it's all these acronyms, but I think the world has changed. I think everybody would, admit that. What does your liability insurance carrier say about that? Because if you've got people working from home, working in non-traditional settings, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So I think that would be probably a value added to it, and bring people like that just so they know, hey, we're on top of this. We're going to give you some good ideas.
Right. All right. Well, Drew, thank you. And I know one of the things I was talking to Dr. Zach, many of you know him. He's been affiliated with Dynamic Directions for several years, mostly in our ICE program. He's been a longtime friend, but, he was talking about even forecasting this out a little bit further. We've been talking about paying attention to like what's just the here and now on what's working. But he was really challenging me to think about what's your business model going to look like? Not just what's working that gets you some efficiencies and, how am I adapting to change? But what do you think your business is going to look like, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, knowing, what's all happened. So don't just, just think in terms of your business model and how that can change. I think that was an interesting challenge on his part to throw out for us to start thinking about that as well.
Good feedback. Yeah.
So listen, great to be with you all. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Havard. Next week, we are going to have just some fun. I'm so excited about it. One of my buddies, Vince Carrata, he's president of our local bourbon society. And we're actually going to take the show downstairs. So those of you who know, we're upstairs. We call it the D2 wing up here. And we have a very nice kitchen. I can show it to you. But downstairs, we purposely built a much bigger conference room and a gourmet kitchen. And so we're going to be down there. It's going to be like, a cooking/bourbon show feel with Vince. We're going to have 4 bourbons that we're going to taste. Stay tuned. When we send the replay out, Vince and I purposely chose some bourbons that we felt like you probably could get at your local liquor store. In other words, it's going to be some of the run-of-the-mill things that's probably in a lot of your cabinets anyway. He's going to bring that. We'll send out that list. So if you want to, play along, so to speak, he's going to do some education. We picked 4 different types of bourbon. In fact, one's a rye. And he's going to talk about, just from a flavor perspective, how that's different and how it's made. But Vince is an outstanding speaker. We've had him do some local events for us. So I'm really excited about that. So, and we will not taste any scotch, Dave Mazzetti. I'm reading your text. Thank you. I knew I was going to get that from you. We have some obviously avid scotch lovers. They can stay at home.
We have some Kesslers for him.
Some Kesslers, yeah. Some watered down Kesslers for Jay. So stay tuned on that. That information will be out there. So we're going to have a fun event. And there again, we're doing that for a couple reasons. One, we want to have some fun, guys. I mean, look, we're all doing some serious stuff every day, meeting with clients, navigating through these different waters that we're just not accustomed to. But we want to have some fun with you, but we also want to demonstrate here's some things that you should be doing. So going back to that timeline I was talking about earlier, we need to be thinking about not only those educational events, how you can spice them up, but what are some fun events that you can do for your clients that meet kind of your own interest guidelines, but would meet the guidelines of of your client's guidelines. So I'm sure Dave is, I'm getting all kinds of text messages here. I'm sure he's going to push for a Scotch tasting, but, we are in Kentucky and
when in Rome.
That's right. So corn is king here, my friend.
It's a Corning team.
It's a Corning team. There we go. I like that, Drew. So with that said,
Hey,
John,
everyone,
thank
real
you
quick.
again. Go for it.
This is not your typical local bourbon society. This thing is massive. Remember, they're in Kentucky, and Vince is pretty awesome. So this is not amateur hour. This is serious stuff. Everyone's going to enjoy it. I highly recommend it.
Well, let me add to that real quick. Guys, Vince is known by every master distiller in Kentucky. We've had master distillers here from Pappy Van Winkle, Maker's Mark, Four Roses, Jim Beam, Woodford Reserve. I'm just naming some brand names that you probably know of, and even brand names I could start mentioning you probably haven't heard of. We have private barrels with over a dozen of these distilleries, meaning that they've come to us and they've partnered with our society to do a private barrel. And then when that's launched, we get, we get as members access to it. The label says it's just for us. We partner with a local liquor store. We usually sell out all of those before it's even available to the public. So, hey, George T. Stagg, I hear you have it. That's a great one. Very good one. I've got a couple of those at home. So anyway, I could keep talking about bourbon. John probably could. Drew could. Dave Mazzetti couldn't, but that's okay. We'll send out the replay tomorrow. Everyone stay healthy, stay safe, eat your vegetables, especially your corn distilled. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.